Chuck Norris died, and hours later, Variety published this headline. The internet absolutely exploded. Politicians are furious. Fans are heartbroken. And the backlash? It's massive. This isn't just about Chuck Norris. This is about respect, legacy, and what happens when the media crosses a line. March 19th, 2026. Chuck Norris, 86 years old, passed away in Hawaii, surrounded by his family, peacefully, after a lifetime of making action movies, doing martial arts, and being an American icon. His family posted on Instagram, quote, "It is with heavy hearts that our family shares the sudden passing of our beloved Chuck Norris. He was surrounded by his family and was at peace. He lived his life with faith, purpose, and an unwavering commitment to the people he loved." The internet immediately flooded with tributes. Fans sharing Chuck Norris memes. Action stars like Sylvester Stallone and Jean-Claude Van Damme posting memories. People remembering Walker Texas Ranger, the roundhouse kicks, the legend. And then Variety published their article, hours after his death. The headline, Chuck Norris was a great action star, but politics may overshadow his legacy. The article wasn't a tribute. It wasn't a celebration of his life. It was an attack on a man who couldn't defend himself. Hours after he died. Here's what Variety said. Writer William Earle argued that Chuck Norris's characters were dangerous propaganda, that his action movies glorified American exceptionalism, that his cop characters were justification for fringe conspiracy movements, that in today's political climate, his legacy looks darker. Quote from the article, "When a star is the poster boy for American exceptionalism and might, at what point does his legacy transition from escapism to dangerous propaganda?" They called his movies cop-aganda. They said his vigilante characters inspired real-world violence. They criticized him for portraying strong Americans who take justice into their own hands. And people lost their minds. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis tweeted, "Chuck Norris was an action legend and a great American." Variety is an example of why so many people detest the media. Congressman Tim Burchett said, "Chuck Norris spent an enormous amount of time celebrating what was great about America with those who kept us free and safe. This is total trash." Entrepreneur Brandon Fugel posted, "Unbelievable. Politicizing the death of an American icon who gave selflessly to so many causes. Variety should be ashamed." The article got ratioed into oblivion on Twitter. Thousands of replies, almost all negative. People calling it disgusting, disrespectful, politically motivated garbage. One user wrote, "No normal person thinks about politics when Chuck Norris's name is brought up." Another said, "You do not hate the media enough." The article became the most criticized obituary in recent memory. And here's why people are so angry. It's the timing. Chuck Norris died on March 19th. Variety published this on March 20th. Hours later. His body wasn't even cold yet. His family was still grieving. And Variety decided this was the moment to critique his politics. Not his martial arts legacy. Not his decades of movies. Not the charity work he did. Not the troops he visited overseas. Not the fact that he was reportedly a genuinely kind person off-screen. They went straight for politics. But here's what makes this even worse. Variety didn't do this for liberal celebrities who died. When Harry Belafonte passed away, Variety celebrated him, called him a trailblazer, praised his activism. Belafonte was openly political, radically left-wing, and Variety honored that. Rob Reiner is still alive, but people pointed out that when he eventually passes, you'll never see a Variety headline saying his Trump derangement syndrome overshadowed his legacy, even though Reiner's political views are extreme. The double standard is obvious. Conservative dies? Attack them for politics. Liberal dies? Celebrate them for politics. And people see it. That's why the backlash is so intense. Now let's talk about who Chuck Norris actually was, because Variety's article ignored all of this. Chuck Norris wasn't just an action star. He was a martial arts champion, 6-time world karate champion, founded his own martial arts system, trained celebrities and regular people, inspired millions to take up martial arts. He was a family man, married, kids, grandkids. By all accounts, deeply devoted to his family. He was a Christian, openly talked about his faith, advocated for Bibles in public schools, supported military families, visited troops overseas multiple times, donated to charities that helped kids and the hungry. He was patriotic, loved America, proud of it, believed in American values, and yeah, he was a Republican. He supported Trump, he had conservative views. But that shouldn't mean you attack him hours after his death. And here's the thing. Variety conveniently ignored. Chuck Norris's characters weren't promoting violence. They were fictional heroes. In movies. Playing characters written by screenwriters. Directed by directors. Produced by studios. Walker, Texas Ranger wasn't telling people to become vigilantes. It was a TV show. About a Texas Ranger. Who followed the law. Who worked with a justice system. Who had a partner and a team. Missing in Action wasn't propaganda. It was an action movie. About rescuing POWs fiction. Delta Force, action movie. Invasion USA, action movie. These weren't documentaries, they were entertainment. To blame Chuck Norris for inspiring real-world fringe movements is absurd. By that logic, every action star is responsible for violence. Every cop show promotes police brutality. Every superhero movie causes vigilantism. It's ridiculous. But Variety published it anyway, because Chuck Norris was conservative. And in their view, that makes him fair game, even in death. The article also asked, at what point does his legacy transition from escapism to dangerous propaganda? And the answer is, it doesn't. Never. Movies are movies. Chuck Norris playing a tough guy on screen doesn't make him responsible for how people behave in real life. By that logic, is Variety responsible for dividing the country with politically motivated hit pieces? Are they responsible for the hatred their article generated? See how that works? But the worst part, Chuck Norris can't respond. He's gone. He can't defend himself. He can't call out the hypocrisy. He can't tell his side. And Variety knew that. They waited until he couldn't fight back, and then they attacked. That's what makes this so vile, and fans know it. The tributes kept coming. People sharing stories of meeting Chuck Norris. How kind he was. How humble. How he treated everyone with respect. How he signed autographs for hours. How he genuinely cared about his fans. One story that went viral. Chuck Norris once visited a children's hospital unannounced. Spent hours with sick kids. Took photos. Made them smile. Didn't tell the press. Just did it because he wanted to. That's the Chuck Norris people remember. Not the Variety version. The memes came back too. Chuck Norris doesn't die. Death dies when it meets Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris woke up from death to correct an error on his death certificate, then died again. The internet honored him the way he deserved. With humor, with love, with respect. Variety got none of that. Just rage, just disgust, just a reminder that people see through the bias. So where does this leave us? Chuck Norris is gone. His legacy? Secure. Not because of Variety, but in spite of them. His movies are still loved. His martial arts legacy is still celebrated. His charity work is still remembered. His family still honors him. And his fans? They're not going anywhere. Variety's article? Already forgotten. Buried under backlash. A stain on their reputation. A reminder that attacking someone hours after their death? Yeah, people don't forget that. Chuck Norris spent decades making people feel strong, feel proud, feel like they could overcome anything. And no hit piece is going to erase that.